Welcome to the Mipar tutorial on generating measurements from the processed image editor. In this tutorial we will show how to load in images output from a 2D batch into the processed image editor, as was also shown in the reviewing a 2D batch tutorial. And once they're loaded in, we will then generate both global and feature measurements from every processed image. Now recall that you can have global measurements be part of your recipe that you create in the image processor, such that the measurements are done and exported automatically as part of the batch, but you can simply have processes in your recipe so that the only output of the batch are processed images, and then do all of your measurements at once you've reviewed and maybe made changes to your segmentation in the processed image editor. So let's open up that application and we'll start fresh. So we'll add our one layer here, our secondary particles. Here we have them. And I'm going to rename this layer here as secondary. And then we can add a layer. Let's call this tertiary. And we'll pick those processed images. And here we have the tertiary layer. Look at the layers view. And we see tertiary is green, secondary is red. And now we don't even need to load in the original images to make measurements. Measurements can be done just by loading in your processed images. So let's say that we wanted to output the area fraction of the tertiary particles from every image. So with our tertiary layer selected, we will just click area fraction and hit generate. And outside in this folder, I'm just going to put measurements area frac tertiary. Hit save, and it now ran through all of those images and output the area fraction of each one. So let's open up that file in Excel. I'm not sure where that is. Let's open up Excel here. And choose tab delimited. So here we have those 5 images. There was no calibration factor present in the processed image editor, so none was output. And then we have the area fraction of each one. And we could do the same by going to the secondary layer, output the area fraction, then we'd have all of the secondary particle area fractions. So let's say that we wanted to output a measurement or measurements for all features in every image. That is not something that we could do as part of a recipe made in the image processor. That needs to be done in the processed image editor once you have all of your processed images loaded in. So again, we'll make measurements now on the secondary layer. We'll measure the equivalent diameter of every feature from every image. So with the secondary images selected, secondary layer selected, we will choose feature measurements and check equivalent diameter, choose choose where to save the measurements to. We'll call these measurements equib diam secondary all. Click generate. And now Mipar is measuring the equivalent diameter of every feature in every image. Of course, if you wanted these from the tertiary layer, you would select tertiary and do the same thing. So let's take a look at what was output. We have the file that we named, secondary all, and then we also have an underscore means file. So let's open up the first one in Excel. Secondary all. And what we have are headings on top for each image. And for each image, each feature's equivalent diameter. So here are all of the features in the first image and the second image, and so on. And these are measurements that you could also read into the image processor to color, say, every feature in this image according to its equivalent diameter, as was shown in the color by measurements tutorial. Okay, so there are all of the individual equivalent diameters, but what if we also want the average equivalent diameter for each image without needing to do a lot of copy, paste, and average operations in Excel? So let's then also open up the means file that was generated. And now we have the average equivalent diameter here in pixels, since we didn't calibrate the magnification for each of the images. So that about does it for generating measurements out of the processed image editor. If you have any questions, please drop me a line. Thanks again for your attention, and look forward to future tutorials for all of the apps. And any of you interested in 3D processing, if they are not right now, shortly the 3D Toolbox tutorial and perhaps tutorials should be available soon. Thanks again for your attention, and I hope you keep coming back. I hope you enjoy Mipar.